Okay, it's Tuesday, September 20th. This is a pre-open SPY video. We have a little over an hour to go before trading begins. We have a little bit of conflict in play possibly, where on the daily chart here, we have a green bar from yesterday. We are expecting a little bit of follow through to the upside and to reach these two targets. I've discussed how those two targets are the midpoint of this weekly bar, and in terms of the weekly bar, right now we have as of yesterday, it's just an inside price action here, and we are in a more powerful kind of looking for that red bar to test a little lower at some point this week. So we have that little conflict where the weekly wants to go down at some point. The daily looks like it might want to follow through higher. And we have a pre-opening range, which at the moment is kind of working towards the downside. So, but we're still above the midpoint of the prior day. So here's the blue lines at the moment where this range exists. So as always, we're going to see if we could work to the top of that range and strongly move higher towards those targets. Are we going to open near the bottom of the range, which is near the midpoint? Maybe here get a green move to start. At that point, we'll target those highs as a starting point near the open and see if we can break through it. Again, following through on the daily chart, a 2 up that sort of targets this area. Or are we going to actually have one of those relatively rare days where you have a pretty big green bar, you never even test the high, and you immediately start lower and start down? And I went back on the chart and looked at a few of those days where you might have had, an example of green bars that you expected to go higher but ended up red. I marked those off, and the reason I wanted to do that was just go back and look at how the price action opened, the 15-minute chart, and show you how today we're just going to have to trust that price action here to guide us what happens next. Also, finally, on the monthly chart, just wanted to point out we have, let me pull up the calendar here. We have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 8 trading days to go to really reach the bottom of this green bar. That's what we're expecting. So this red bar so far, you can see it's not that strong at the moment. We still have 8 days to get down there, but if all of a sudden we can't make it there, maybe October is going to actually surprise us and pause and start back up. We don't know. But anyway, still anticipating that low, still have 8 days to go, but time is running out. So just wanted to point out that bigger picture. But back to this how we're going to just view this 15-minute open here relative to this range. If I go back and just look at a few of these days here, this one, the first one here is September 2nd where it happened. Let me go back and just kind of look at each of these days just to show you how the opening price action. So here's a day where you had a green bar and it moved lower. So what you did was you gapped down, you started up, gapped up, on this day from yesterday. You went down, you would have played the red to green move here, looking for continuation higher. Price eventually worked up past the first bar high, but if you look at paused, and I remember this day actually went short because I was anticipating it. But anyway, you went up here, you just took out that first bar, couldn't do anything for over an hour and a half, and then boom, you went down. So at that point, you're getting close to that intraday low. There could be a short in here on a smaller time frame, and it went down all day. So there's an example of one reversal. Let's look back here on the on 825. I think I marked those off, so I can just go back on the chart here and find here's an arrow where you had the green bar yesterday, kind of like, but you opened up right near the high, and you actually did take out that high, so at least you got that. But then you got to trust price actions going down. You're holding the midpoint of the prior day, but then boom, this big red bar happened. So within 4 bars, you just knew that we took out the high. The session has a bias to the downside, and you can see all kinds of opportunities to go short. So again, we're going to trust opening price action. Just go back to a few more of these that I marked off where I can find it. Let me just look for the arrows. Yeah, there's another one. Again, type of day where here's an example. This could definitely happen where we opened up. We did take out the high in this case. But price went down. You would have tried a red to green move here, looking for follow through to the intraday high. Never got there. And then this pause for an hour to the midpoint of that first move, and then the breakdown here, again, taking out the intraday lows. That was the sign this was a down day developing. And you eventually you targeted the midpoint of the prior day, and then it got all the way down to the lows. There's one more in here. Let me just go back. Right here. Here's an example of a gap up. These blue lines that's actually today's price action. But anyway, gap up. You kind of, again, may have anticipated kind of a move down to fill the gap, but red to green. It just didn't do anything. And again, you had 45 minutes to see it just wasn't following through. And again, we look at that, some kind of price action, big red bar to take out that intraday low at that point after you have time going by. And at that point, again, you had to just be biased to the downside and you get the big drop possibly. So back to today, we're just going to look at, moving a little lower here still. We're kind of moving to the midpoint of this bar. So this is a tricky thing in terms of, do we really follow through higher in the short run to these targets, or are we going to, and I've been talking about how I still think there could be a failure here and heading lower because I want to take out the low of that, of last week's bar. So anyway, let's just see how it opens. We are biased to the downside a little bit, but sometimes that gives you an opportunity to go green immediately. So as long as we hold the midpoint here, we'll look for that. But in the meantime, this could be one of those really rare days where you don't even come close to that. This high was just a broadening. I was discussing how we have this little megaphone. Maybe that was the total broadening action here, and we're going to actually go to the midpoint of this megaphone and immediately start down. So let price action lead the way as always, and we'll just see where today takes us.